good afternoon. We're broadcasting to you today from lovely Minneapolis, Minnesota, and Marbella, Spain, the southern coast of Spain, just across from the North African coast next to Gibraltar. My name is Adam Cherrill, the president of Cherrill Consulting Group, and it's a privilege and an honor to be hosting today with Mr. Michael Sobetkovitz, who's the CEO of Cortaxa Limited and the developer of the KanBo collaborative work platform. And today what we'd like to talk to you about is this subject of collaborative work as the foundation of high-performance teamwork. And you'll see as we walk through this what that implies, what the underlying vision is all about, and then stop midway, take you through a demonstration of the implementation of such a new solution, and host any questions and answers that you might have. So I'd like to start briefly with an agenda. We'll go over some brief introductions for myself and Michael. I'll take you through this collaborative work vision and the overview of the KanBo solution in terms of pillars of collaboration and the types of infrastructure that this integrates seamlessly into. I'm going to hand it over to Michael to talk about and demonstrate real time how KanBo can be applied in an agile PMO demonstration. Then we'll close with topics on how to help you navigate your own digital transformation in your organization, what that constitutes, and then open with some questions and answers. Okay, so without reading off the charts, actually what I'll do is I'll introduce myself and then hand it over to Michael to give a brief introduction of yourself. My name is Adam Cherrill, president of CCG. We apply systems thinking, processes, and tools to solve a variety of problems, the toughest business problems that our clients have across 4 key areas of business intelligence, strategy development, capture management, and execution excellence. My background is 23 years in the U.S. aerospace and defense industry across the life cycle of strategy and charting the new course into new markets and new projects, capturing and winning those new projects, and then executing them at various levels. I've been a project manager, I've been a program manager of multiple projects, and I've been a portfolio manager both in industry and in consultancy. And I'm a proud candidate holder of the Portfolio Management Professional Certification, the Apex credential offered by PMI, the Project Management Institute. Michael, I'll turn it over to you for a brief introduction.
Yeah, thank you, Adam. My name is Michael Sobetkovitz, and I'm the CEO of Cortaxa, who happens to be the company that builds KanBo. And I've been in the technical industry, so in technology, for over 20 years. We have always been building software for enterprise companies. And in the last 8 years, we have developed this product called KanBo, which is a very modern work coordination and management platform for purpose-driven organizations. Today I will also show you parts of it, especially how you can organize multi-flight levels using a Kanban board.
Great. So I wanted to lay out this vision, and this comes from Michael and his team at KanBo. It's such a profound way to look at modern collaboration. If we look at a variety of these elements, imagine a future where we're collaborating only in the digital space, where we're not using paper, we're communicating only with digital information. Both Michael and I run distributed teams. We run firms that manage and collaborate with people across the world and across the various countries and time zones. We don't have offices. We navigate between personal workspaces, which is really a core of distributed collaboration. Imagine putting an end to meetings and not meeting until we figure out why no work is getting done, but instead focusing on solving problems, all of us can do with fewer emails. And imagine a situation where if you're working on a project or a portfolio or an aggregation of projects, you can go right to that project and look at a relevant stream of communication that's contextual and right there available for you, rather than having to sift through a variety of emails. All of us want to be working collaboratively without management and hierarchy. Imagine being able to collaborate in teams where we're not providing constant reports to our managers, but our managers are even part of our team and part of our solution to be able to view what it is we're working on without that firm, rigid hierarchy. Similarly, without supervision, that this is a platform, for example, where it's our own creativity and passion that's driving our participation together. And ultimately, it's moving towards what we call a trustless system, where the data and all activity within the environment are protected, and there's a chronology and a history and a configuration control of the data that's being used in such an environment, so that there can be no manipulation. And if you think this sounds like a bright and brilliant future, it does, but the beauty is this collaborative work management vision is possible today. And that's what we're going to be covering in this session. So I wanted to cover another concept that you're going to hear us talk about, and coming from different sides of the pond as we speak. I use the term horizons of focus. You'll hear Michael speak about flight levels, and these are synonymous terms. I often work with large-scale enterprises who have to maintain visibility across this whole sort of pyramid that you see here, a pyramid of hierarchy of roles and responsibilities. So if you kind of work from the top down, you have executives in the leadership suite who are responsible for defining the future of the enterprise, establishing the reason for being, setting the direction, establishing the values for the organization. And similarly, there'll be people in the organization who are planning the journey on how to realize that future through strategy development, through creating situational awareness, coming up with coherent policy, and the variety of coordinated action plans and projects that need to be put in place so that the enterprise can get to where it wants to go in the future. Then we get into the more common frameworks within the project and portfolio community. The idea of portfolio management is doing the right work. Are we selecting the right projects? Are we managing the right projects to align our effort with strategy as defined by the enterprise, as well as are we aligning with the resources available that we have to execute the work in terms of people, capital, time, to make sure that we're doing the right work that is going to yield the best return on investment towards our strategic objectives. And then we often hear about if portfolio management is doing the right work, then project management is about doing the work right, meaning it's all about delivering on enterprise commitments, regardless of how you're managing your project and what kind of portfolio or project management philosophy or process. It's all about delivering on commitments, doing it right, getting it done on time, on quality, and on budget. And that's all about project and program management. And even the corollary to that is the operations side of the house, with ongoing recurring activities going on in the business. But ultimately, we have to do the work. And so no matter where you are in this taxonomy, in this hierarchy in the organization, whether you're working as a project manager or a portfolio manager or working in strategy, you still have to perform as an individual. You still have to perform in context of a team, as a work group, collaborating and coordinating on a daily basis. And this is all about achieving goals at high performance. And it's sort of the base of the pyramid for a reason, because doing the work is essential and foundational to no matter what horizon of focus or flight level that you're working in. The work has to get done. There has to be cooperation. There has to be communication. And it's applicable no matter where you are in the organizational structure. So it's absolutely foundational to all horizons of focus, all flight levels, to operate in a collaborative work environment. And so I'd like to talk about these 4 pillars of collaboration that Michael and his team have conceived of: work, people, time, and technology. And I really like the synthesis of this vision and this methodology for explaining in different contexts. Number one, when we talk about the work, there's all this talk today about artificial intelligence and workflow automation. But when you look at the kind of work that we're doing, it's about simplifying the coordination so that people can focus on the things that only people can do, that can't be automated. People have to communicate with one another. People have to make real-time decisions. People have to think and make recommendations. That is not yet able. We're not yet able to automate that. It will be a long time coming before we'll be able to automate that. And so, by focusing on the element of work that only people can do, strips away a lot of the clutter from enabling us to do that kind of collaborative interaction with each other. And that flows right into the people dimension, the people pillar, of making sure that we're providing transparency and trust, not only for the people who are working in purpose-driven teams, but for those who are supervising or have a stakeholder interest in what's going on. So people can see what is going on. People can see the transactions that have transpired over time, and we'll show how that chronology and that ledger is maintained within this environment. Of course, we have to be cognizant of work, and individuals are the best have the best ability to manage their own work and their own priorities. Priorities change, managerial directions might change. So there needs to be some flexible approach and agile environment that empowers individuals to plan, manage, and execute their workload depending on changing priorities. And then ultimately, we want the technology to be an enabler for all of this, not to be a crutch. And we want to make sure that it's dependable, it's transparent, and it's secure without making compromises to any existing infrastructure. And one of the core value propositions that we'll talk about is whether you're in the cloud or whether you're in an on-premise environment, which is common with many of the clients that I deal with, for example, in the aerospace and defense industry. This solution can be integrated into either platform and be operated as its own environment within a client's secure portal or portfolio or environment. So these 4 pillars are really key to understanding a collaborative solution that is represented by this really innovative software platform called KanBo. And so what this is all about, and you'll see this some of these features in work here in a little bit, but we talk about real-time work management. Again, foundational to all of these flight levels, pillars of work, people, technology, and time. And we can integrate, whether it's, in this case, it's very Microsoft specific, whether you have a cloud deployment with Office 365 or you have an existing SharePoint deployment on premise. KanBo integrates seamlessly into this existing infrastructure, essentially maximizing the investment that you already have in this core Microsoft technology. So what I'd like to do is just introduce a demonstration and really build this as a bit of an ideal solution for an agile or even hybrid PMO that Michael's going to walk through how you can cascade up and down through the flight levels, whether you're looking at a portfolio of projects, you're looking at a particular project and its work packages, even drilling down into the tasks and the next actions associated with that project, and be able to cascade in and out of the various flight levels. He's going to talk about the utility of a new feature in KanBo to create new projects from templates, which enables the organization, the governance aspect of the organization, to define and instantiate repeatable processes that can be baselined and improved over time. And then ultimately, this idea of how do we manage by exception? How do we keep visibility for the overall portfolio of activity so that we can see when a task or work goes off track? It creates a visual cue that we can then drill down into understanding what is going on and how to figure out how to take immediate corrective action. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Michael Cvetkovic and hand it over to him. So Michael, I'm going to hand this over to you.
Okay.
And we'll go from there.
Okay. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, if you could maximize it. Oh, I think it is maximized. Good.
It is maximized, yes.
Great.
All right. So thank you, Adam, for this introduction. And without further ado, I would like to jump in right into the KanBo. So what you see right here is the lowest level that we have in KanBo, which is the KanBo card. You see that this is the name of the card. It's some kind of an electric engine that we are trying to build, and this card captures the complete context of this assignment. And on the left-hand side of the card, you can see that it is the responsible person for that engine is Angelina Jolie. And at the moment, we don't have any categories, any labels, which we could assign here. And we know that there is a start date and due date. In the middle of the card, we see the complete history of the card, which records every single movement, message, change, including also document changes and so on. And you can here you can change the detail level that you would like to consume. And on the right hand side of the card, you have all the information that are more static, like you can have notes, you can have obviously files, like for example pictures, or you can have documents like office documents, which you can open right from the card and work on them either online in the browser or open it via your Office app, and then just close it, and it will be automatically saved to the card and it will be versioned. Then you've got also the possibility to break down the work inside of a card using to-do lists, which are very fun to use and very fast, in the meaning that you can rearrange them very fast, add new items like this, and obviously you can let others know how far you are with a certain part of this card. You can have also several of those to-do lists in order to picture several contexts that you would like to have displayed, how the work progresses. So basically, when people are working on this electrical engine, they would communicate here. For example, if I have a question like, what about the stator? What about the stator? And I can mention now people from the project. For example, I can mention someone who is not on the card, like Clint Eastwood. I can also mention Angelina Jolie. So in this very moment, Angelina will receive a notification here, and she will be able to answer. And our conversation will be kept inside of this card, which gathers everything that is in regards of this electrical engine. So that's basically very fast how the card is built, and you can capture any information inside of a card in order to make sure to create a single point of truth for whatever you're doing. So now we jump one level higher, because you can see here that we are now, this card is part of a bigger thing, and this bigger thing is called a board. So this is the KanBo board, which consists of many cards. One of them is this electrical engine. So basically, this is something that we can call a project or a process or a department that handles a certain portion of work inside of an organization. So here we have the project flying car, obviously, and we can create lists. This is a list and give this list names to picture our process or our methodology, how we are doing a project. So in this one, I'm using the methodology which is called the horizon planning, which has a backlog and a planning that goes towards today, which is what are we going to do in this month, what are we going to do in this week, what is done right now, and what has been accomplished and what needs to be archived. So you can have also other elements on the board if you need them. For example, you can go and you can turn on a feature which is called the timeline. So when you turn this on, you will have here a timeline representing the current schedule, and you see here is obviously today, and we have each of those dots is something approaching a date. So if you want to know what's approaching on the 7th, you just click on it, and you see it's the work package 2, and it's the start date, so it should start. And the bigger the dot, the more things are on that day due or starting. So basically you have a very nice representation of time, and the colors are telling you how urgent is something. So if something is orange, then it's approaching. If it's red, it's late. And they can, for example, here this is red, and you can jump right into the card and find out, for example, why this is late. And you see we are missing 2 parts, and these are the parts that we are missing. So basically you can very quickly get to know the reason and then start taking action to solve the problem. So that is one of the elements that we have. Obviously, as you would expect from a visual project management tool, you can basically drag and drop the cards from right to left to visualize the status of certain work. You've got also other features, like for example, you could show the cards on a calendar, or if you want, you could also turn on a feature which is the Gantt Chart, and then have the same cards and the same work that is here inside of the board. You could have displayed as a Gantt chart, and it also shows you which cards are already completed and when. So for example, this card was completed on the 24th, so it was 11 days before the due date, and this card here is obviously late to 2 days, and the next milestone starts here, and these are the children of the milestone, the tasks that are included in the milestone, and so on. So you see you have also relations here, and obviously you can drag and drop the stuff, and it immediately also changes everything inside of the card. So it doesn't matter where you are and which interface you are using. If you're using this interface, you're using Gantt chart or calendar or the timeline, it all comes down to the card where all the informations are being recorded. So this is basically the board where you can organize the work. And when you go up one level, this is the highest level. So this is the level where you organize your boards. So it is called a board collection. The board collection consists of board groups, like I created here, and you can see I have other board collections as well, because if I would look at all my boards in my company, then I would end up with something like this, which is not really handleable. So what I can do is I can just create a board collection and then organize the board collection and only pick boards which are of interest to me and give it a name and have a nice structure which I can quickly navigate and which consists everything what I need. So this is quickly this is quickly the basic of KanBo. So we have a card, right? We have a card, we have a board that the card is in, and then we can organize many boards using board collections. And what I would like to show you now is a concrete example of a project. So basically, imagine I am now a portfolio manager, and I have all these projects that I have to supervise, and people are working in this project. So similarly to this flying car, or like, for example, here people are working on some stuff, and they do their work. But what I need is some kind of a higher level perspective, which is a higher flight level, which will basically allow me to have these projects represented by cards. So what I did is I created another board here, and in this board, when you memorize some of the names, you will find a representation like this. So each of the cards here, for example, the flying car, or the portfolio management, or the project charter, or the acquiring of this company, all of these are actually boards. So when I open a card, I can quickly here navigate to the board which this card represents, which is obviously this board. So basically, what I have created here is a way to structure and coordinate many projects at the same time by maintaining the same flight level, which is showing to me all the projects. And now I have used the lists to show the projects in a certain way which I need. So I can categorize the projects by these means, but I can also at the same time have a look at the same board, but now look at the projects from the perspective of progress. So what I need to do, I just change now the perspective to go to the statuses, and now each of the cards that represents a project also have a status. So now I can easily see, for example, that one project is blocked, the three are in progress. And now if I am moving a card which represents a project, obviously here, for example, from started to in progress, it changes the status, but this project will still be in the same list. So when I go back to the list, the financial audit is still in a financial list. I am just changing the perspective. So you see now here the project is now in progress. You can see here the status of each of the projects, but right now the main view is through the lists. You can also see that I have used tags, labels, to categorize these projects, and that's also a dimension that I could have this board shown to me. I just go easily here, and I can just easily go excuse me, I can just easily go here and have this shown by labels. So now I see the same board now, but from a perspective of categorizations, like how many projects I have in R&D, how many projects I have in marketing. So you can also see from here that it also the list also summarizes and shows you already the progress of all the cards, in this meaning here projects, how far they are. So by seeing 25%, it means that 25% of your R&D projects have been completed, or 33% of your marketing projects have been completed. So this is this mechanism works obviously in all of the dimensions. So even if I switch now to the dimensions of users, because now I need to know if all my project managers are not overloaded with projects. So in this view, I can easily view that. And if I decided, for example, that I wanted to reassign this project to someone else, drag and dropping the card in this view means changing the responsible person. So let's say I want to give it to Clint Eastwood. I just drag and drop the card here, and you see now it was assigned now to Clint Eastwood and not to me anymore. So this is the way how we can easily manage the whole portfolio. But now let's dive into this flying card thing. So if we look closer into this card, you see that this card represents the project flying car, which has its own board and some ID, some budget, and so on. But what you can also see are these subcards, and these subcards are important because they are work packages or milestones that the people that are working in the flying car board are completing. So right now you can see that this work package is in doing. This is scheduled for this month, and this is still in the backlog. So basically none of them has been completed. So now I would like to know what work is contained by work package 1. So I just click on the subcard, and now I am already in the board flying car, and I am in the work package 1, and I see here that half of the work of the package 1 has been completed because the driver's safety card that was executed by Clint is ready, and it's basically to be archived. But this one is blocked, and it's late because it's red. The due date is red, and it's being done by Angelina Jolie. So let me now open this card and see what's going on. And as we could saw it before, okay, this is the card where we are missing 2 parts, and something is and now I understand the problem. And what I will do now, I will try to give it more time. So I will shift now the date, the due date, let's say to the 10th. Okay, I did it. So basically, they will have more time. But what I accidentally did is that I have now broken the work package 1. Why? Because it is showed now to me in this stripes. So it means now that one of its subcards is now here breaking the due date, meaning that this was supposed to be finished on the 6th, but because someone moved this date, this cannot be finished on time. And I mean, in this demonstration, it's pretty obvious what I did and how it happened. But imagine you are working in some other projects, or you are in the meetings or whatever, and then suddenly you arrive at this board and you find 3 cards now are being endangered, and now you can easily see what is the reason, and dive in and attack the problem. So this is something that allows you to not really, keep your eye on every detail, and don't wait for the reporting that comes maybe in a month, but you can immediately see what is the reason and tackle the problem. So the next thing that I would like to present to you is this aggregated reporting on the higher level. So let's say now this one is being unblocked. So I will now unblock it, and I will now move this card to also to done. And you see, because it's done now, the work package is not striped anymore, and this is all in real time. And now I can say, okay, now because these both tasks are done, which are part of this package, I will also move the package to done. And let's see how this now has an effect on the higher level. So when I go to the portfolio and open the flying car, you see that 1/3 of the progress is done because the work package 1 is done, and then the other packages, as they will also move through the flying car here, through the lists, they will also be finished. And so when we say now this this work package now goes to doing, and that's what inside also starts, then you will see some progress in the milestone itself. And then once the milestone is done, you will also see here in its parent, in the flying car project, we'll also see that this one, once it's done, will also update this one automatically. So in this presentation, you could basically see that you can have your project's work being done in each of those boards by people that are assigned to tasks and so on. And but you can maintain your view from this perspective, and even here you see that work is being shown, how much work was being accomplished in this project, just because you have card relations between boards, and KanBo is using these to update the progress and to show it on the level that you're looking at your part of your organization, without any need to do reporting and so on. So the idea why we built this was people that are working on a particular project could use their energy basically to work on that project. And you as a project manager, you can build your own reporting by just creating work packages, milestones, and by building those hierarchies going from board to a portfolio. And you can even go further up if you, let's say, had strategy that consists of many portfolios. Then you can again use a card that represents a portfolio, and then take these cards and put them as subcards of the strategy, and then have your progress also updated 2 levels higher, and so on. So this is basically the FlightLevel project management implementation by KanBo. And let's say I wanted now to create a new project, and I know it's an agile project, and I don't want to start from scratch because my organizations has already prepared a structure, including everything that I need to get the project going. So what I do is I create a new board, and I am choosing a template. These are all my templates. Many of them are German, but I take this one, the Agile project. So I choose this template. I give it a name. For example, we're gonna do now a Space X project. Okay, Space X. And you see, KanBo is already showing me similar projects in my company, even though they don't have the name the name of the project that I'm trying to create is not inside of the names that of the boards that that are shown to me, but inside of these boards there is content which deals with SpaceX. But I say, okay, I want to continue. I don't want to join the other boards, and I choose the color. Let's say I choose this color, and I say add. So in this moment, KanBo is creating a complete structure that was predefined by someone or by a team of people that will allow me to jumpstart a project, and you will see in a second how it looks. Okay, it's finished. So now I open this new project, and you see I have a predefined structure who someone else prepared. It consists of a backlog of things that I need to do. It even has some sprints already, and I have this special card which I'll explain in a second. But if I now go to the first sprint and have a look, okay, these are the tasks or the work that needs to be done within the sprint 1. So usually I will now go and invite users that will join the project. So let's say I will invite Brad Pitt here, Clint again, and maybe Jodie Foster and KanBo and Kirk. All right, so now it depends on the methodology we're working on. So when I now, let's say, when I now move the first sprint into development, and people assign themselves to tasks or are assigned them, it depends on how we work. But when for this demo, I will assign them myself. So I will assigning now people to the tasks, and they will basically, when they start working on it, they will move it to this board, to this list, and the work begins and so on. And what I have here is the special card, which is a card that I will use to picture this project inside of my portfolio, because right now when I look in my portfolio, I don't find this SpaceX project here. So what I need a card that will represent this project, and this card was part of the template, because when I open the card, I see it consists already all the most important milestones or sprints that I need to be informed on the flight level of portfolio. So what I will do, I will just rename the card so it fits the project, and I'm using the move function to move the card between boards. So I will move it out of space X and I will move it into the portfolio. And this is clearly a product development move. There we go. Now my project is here, and it consists of 3 milestones, which none of them is completed. And now it is in my portfolio, and the project manager of this project is going to be me. And it is R&D project. Okay, so this is how I just created a new project out of a template. And what's particularly interesting about this is that if you look closer into the tasks, so for example, this task was also created together with the board. Also the cards they take their structure from the preparation, but also documents. So basically, a complete board template contains everything, starting with the structure of the lists, with the labels, with the cards, and even real documents, which you can then open from the cards and start working on them right in the card. So everything is contained by one template. So now imagine whenever you create a board template for someone in order to get starting with something, then you can also contain the documents that are needed to the work. So everything is complete. And here a little feature of KanBo. I just changed the document, and you see KanBo is observing the versions, and it's notifying me in this context that the version was changed. So if I would have followed the card, then I would get a notification here in the notification stream that a document was changed in the context that I'm following. Right. So that is the board template functionality. And last thing that I want to show you is you can also create card templates very easily. So let me do that quickly in this flying car. So let's say I take this this engine that we have here, and let's say I want to create a template out of this card, because I think we will also do more engines than that one. So I can just easily go and create a template, and I call it electric engine template. And now you see I have created a template with exact that structure. The history is gone. So whenever I want to create a new task for electric engines, I can now choose electric engine. It's going to be now electric engine 45. So when I add a card like this, you can immediately see I have now the same structure, and I can use it all over again. And I can have many templates per board, which will allow me then, to not to start from scratch every time. All right, and some of the integrations that we like to show off during the presentations is the integration with Outlook. So if, let's say, you have received an email from someone containing documents on something like this, and you would like to attach it to an existing card, you can easily do so by just using the plugin that we have here for Outlook. You can choose whether you want to create a new card of the email, or maybe attach it to an existing one. And let me do that quickly. I will attach it to this board, and to the España list, and to the card 3, and just by saying add, now the whole content of the email will be attached to to an email. Excuse me, to one of the cards, which is the card 3. And now I have just attached this email here a few seconds ago. So when I click on it, you see the email is now part of a card. So I can easily have a bridge between the email world and the KanBo world. And yeah, that would be basically my presentation for today. So let's wrap it up. KanBo consists of cards, which are captured by or managed by boards. Boards have lists which you can design yourself, rename, give them colors, meaning, and so on. In boards, you have also tools like calendar or Gantt Chart or timeline. You can assign people and see where things are. You can also change the dimensions in order to see the board from a different perspective. Then you've got board collections which help you to organize boards in a way which makes sense to you or your team, so you keep focus on things that matter. And you can create card relations between boards in order to, for example, aggregate certain boards into one board to have a better understanding from a higher perspective what is going on. And you can use the Outlook app to push content from emails directly into cards or create new cards. So I think that should be it for today. And I would like to hand over to Adam.
Thank you, Michael. That's really a fantastic overview of all of these capabilities that that we described in the introduction. Excuse me. And just to recap, we're talking about how we were able. Michael was showing how we could cascade up and down through these various flight levels, from the portfolio view to an individual project, down to the work package, down to the individual tasks and action items. This incredible power of utilizing templates based on best practices. So a key to any kind of continuous improvement is to baseline a process, and to do that with a template, and then make continuous improvements as you use that template throughout your project lifecycle. And then this concept of demonstrating management by exception. When a work goes off track, Michael explained that we saw a due date that extended beyond the original plan of the work package, and how it highlighted with the construction yellow and white stripes that there was an issue, that anyone looking at the overall big picture could see that and drill down to understand the causality of that particular warning flag. And then, of course, there were some other features that Michael covered, such as the Outlook add-in, which I use extensively when communicating with our team internally. You know, digital transformation is a hot topic these days. It's a tough problem. It's not something to be taken lightly. It's disruptive. It's innovative. And as I like to quote Admiral Rickover here, the father of the American nuclear Navy, good ideas are not adopted automatically. They must be driven into practice with courageous patience. And so what we do as a consultancy with our clients is we walk through a very structured process where, by working with a client, we figure out what's achievable in an approximate time frame, a 3-month time frame, a 6 months. What is it going to take to impact and influence the overall change of the organization that you seek to achieve through people, process, and technology? Then we develop and execute this transformation roadmap. And at the end of the engagement, we want to ensure throughout the process that these new competencies, these new capabilities that are being put into place, become part of the operational norm, both culturally and operationally within the enterprise, that it becomes the way people do work. It becomes part of the standard operating procedure, and it just becomes the natural way of doing things after we get through some of the change and some of the resistance. And of course, that's what we do, and we'd be delighted to have you contact us to help you navigate your collaborative work management transformation with KanBo. And so just to provide sort of a closing chart here, what we do overall, this really falls into the execution lane of our offerings of project portfolio management, business process reengineering, collaborative work, and even enterprise system integration. I think we covered all of those topics in our presentation today. So I'd like to thank you for your attention and participation. We're going to go ahead and stop the recording and then go ahead and take some Q&A. So